Hi, welcome to Narc Shield. My name is Jennifer. I hope that you will like, share, and subscribe to this channel, and I want to thank you ahead of time. Tonight, I wanted to talk to the people who are the booty call. And on this channel, I do talk about narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse, or basically just narcissistic traits and even codependent traits. And tonight I wanted to talk about the booty call thing because as I was saying in my last video, I'm a stylist in my area and I do hear a lot of things, and a lot of it is common. It's like I hear the same things over and over and over, and it's just different people. So, and it isn't that I haven't been through it before. So, I don't know about this, but necessarily, but maybe, I don't know, it's like I'm old, so. But I wanted to talk about it because it can be crippling to some people. And even with the dating sites. So when I have people in my chair, I have, people will show me, I went out on a date with this person and I'm on this dating site and they said this and they're really nice and then they ghosted me and I don't understand why. We had such a great date. Some people are quick to have sex really quick and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm trying to be like, we probably shouldn't do that right away. But everybody's different. We're all different. We all have different personalities. But one thing that seems to be the common theme, and I kind of did mention this in my last video, is the expectations that we have on people. And so this whole online dating thing, I've never been comfortable with that whole thing. I would prefer to date somebody the old-fashioned way. But I know that in today's times, that is how a lot of people meet each other. And I'm not saying I've never done it, been on there before, but it is just something I'm just like, I don't know that I'll ever do it again. I've said this 100 times and then watch me do it. So who knows? But I prefer to meet people the old-fashioned way and get to know people the old-fashioned way. When we sleep with somebody too fast, if anything is moving too fast, that's a red flag on both ends. Now, if you're somebody who is not looking for anything solid, like a long-term relationship, and you just want to have a companion or you want to sleep around and you're okay with that and both people know that and all that good things and you're upfront about it and you're not like lying on your, social or your dating site and saying, oh, I'm the perfect this and the perfect that and dressing it all up. And then really you're just like a player or whatever, or you just wanted to hook up. It's like, what do you really want? If you really want a serious relationship, then it shouldn't be about hooking up. You shouldn't sleep with people, even if it's thrown at you, if you're looking for a serious relationship. But people do their thing. So many people will be in my chair and be so upset. It's like, well, I went on 2 or 3 dates and with this, that, and the other. And we went out of town this time. And, I met, a couple of their friends, whatever. And it could be a guy too. I've seen guys too. And just be so upset. It's like all of a sudden, we were supposed to go out, and the next thing I know, they just never called me again. And then they took me off the thing. We're not even friends on the dating site thing anymore. It's like, what happened? I'm like, well, they met somebody else. And I'm like, I know this sounds really bad. I'm like, you're great. I know you. I think you're fantastic. You're gorgeous or good looking, you're handsome, whatever. You have a great personality, you got a great job going for you, whatever. It's just that there's a lot of people to go out with on these dating sites. So that's kind of why I don't like it. It's almost like a catalog. I'm like, well, you get bored with one, you had a great time, but you know what, over here, this one's wanting to go out too. So I'm going to go over here and taste this one. So it's like, when you meet people, I don't know, how do you know if they're serious or not? And I get that you need to go out with more than just one person, and you really need to figure out who is that lifelong partner for you. I'm all up for that. It makes me think about my grandfather. I always talk about my grandparents, but I remember my granddaddy telling me that when my granddaddy Watkins, when he was dating my grandmother, and he had to go away for war. He told her I don't know if he really meant it, but he says he did, but it's like, date whoever you want. I want you to date as much as you can, because when I come back, I'm coming for you. You're the person I know that I want to marry. You're the type of person I want to marry. But it wasn't the right timing. So he wanted her to get all that dating out, and get it out of her system, because he was going to come for her. And I know I talked to my grandmother about it, and I remember her saying, I don't know that they ever really talked about it, but it was like, just kind of assumed that they had friends or whatever. But sure enough, my grandfather knew the type of woman he wanted to marry. He knew her really well because they had grown up in the same town, and so they knew each other's families and that kind of thing. And he knew that that was the partner he wanted long term, and he came back to her. So, I get that people need to go out with different people, but does that mean you should sleep with everybody and then ghost them? I don't know that that's the nice thing to do. I think, if you have character and that kind of thing, it's probably just best to be honest and say, this isn't the relationship for me. We're not in the right, we don't want the same things. We're not in the same time or place, and that kind of thing. And you know what, if in time you are in the same place and it works out, great. But I say to the people that are talking to me about this, I'm like, it's not you. You're wonderful, and you're sitting back and you're trying to figure out what it was about you that this person didn't like. It's just that they weren't ready for you, or they realized, and maybe should have said it to you, that you guys just wanted different things in life. So you can be attracted to someone physically, but is that the person that you should share the rest of your life with? Are you going to grow old with this person and raise a family with them and take care of them when they're old, and still be in love with them and care for them when their looks go, and that kind of thing, and their health goes? Who is it that you see yourself being with long term, not just in that short term? And some of us, it takes us longer than others to figure those type of things out and learn those things. But, there's nothing wrong with you. And that just comes from, if you've been in abusive relationships before. So if you have been in abusive relationships before, whether it have been with your parents or your siblings, work, romantic relationships, whatever. You could have low self-esteem where you don't value yourself because people said certain things to you, and you began to create that story in your head, and so you say it over and over and over again. So it could be things like certain stories that people might say is, I'm not good enough for that person, and they're gonna realize that later, and they're gonna leave me, or it's a negative storyline where this person doesn't see themselves, have self-esteem really. And so whether you're codependent or narcissistic, whatever, if your self-esteem is low and you have these repeating things going on in your head, then one, you may allow people in that don't treat you the way that you should be treated. Or you are talking yourself out of even good relationships. You may be well deserving of it, but if you don't think you're deserving of it, how are you going to convince somebody else? It doesn't matter. You don't know what other people are thinking and needing unless you take the time. And so people can, if you're feeling bad about yourself, and that could go either way, like I said before, with the narcissistic person or the codependent person. So we need to work on ourselves. We need to value ourselves. We need to be able to create the boundaries of what, we like, what we don't like, what we'll put up with, what we won't put up with, and know who we are. Truly know who we are before we go out and try to find our life partner. because otherwise you could hurt people. And I have had to learn this the hard way myself as far as me dating. I was just telling somebody recently, I was like, listen, I don't want to go out with that person right now because I'm not ready. It was a certain person. I said, but there's nothing wrong with that person. As a matter of fact, I think that person is handsome. I think they have so many wonderful qualities about them. I think they're a great person. But I need to be right with me. I need to know exactly what it is that I want. I need to kind of figure things out, whether it be that I go out with, different people, or I, take the time to figure out what those things are. But I'm pretty sure I know what I want. I'm at that stage now, and I took a lot of time to be by myself to figure those things out and trying to figure out who would be somebody that I could live with for the rest of my life, kind of thing. And when we date, that's what we're trying to find out. So you can be attracted to somebody, but they still not fit what would be your life partner. It could be, if you're going to date somebody, say you want to travel, and you're dating someone who is gorgeous and you're like, oh, I'm so hot for them. They're great in bed and all this kind of thing. But they don't care about traveling, or they don't want kids and you do. That's going to be something that you're going to complain in my chair about. And I'm not putting that out on, believe me, I've been this person too. So it's like, those are the things that we need to figure out on our own. Figure out who it is that you are, what it is that you want and that you like, and don't go in and try to mold yourself, whether you're the codependent or the narcissistic type person or have those traits. Go in and try to just be what that person wants. I know I'm kind of adventurous, especially more so. I was when I was younger, and then I kind of wasn't for a while, and now I'm more adventurous, but not like over the top adventurous. So you can kind of ebb and flow and figure, as life goes on, and we do change. And that is also something, understanding that people do change, and as you're with someone, are you going to grow together? And how do you relate to each other and work things out and communicate? Those things are important. So it's just because somebody's really good looking, or they have a great job and they make a lot of money, and I hear all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, those things are great, but do they have the qualities that you need and want as a partner? Or are you just trying to fill what somebody else needs, and vice versa? And so it's really everybody learning in life, and people come into your life sometimes, and they might be a soulmate, but that just because they're soulmate doesn't mean they were supposed to be with you forever. It's a lesson that we're supposed to learn. And hopefully we learn from those lessons. And so somebody might be teaching you a lesson, you might be teaching them a lesson, vice versa. It could be together, and it doesn't work out, but it doesn't mean that they, were the person that you were supposed to be with for the rest of your life. And we don't have to see it as a waste, as our life is a waste. It wasn't a waste because we've learned and we've evolved, and that's what we do as we age and grow up, and we get that wisdom. And hopefully in all of that, we figure out who we are, what we like, what we want, what makes us happy, and we find the right partner who we know that that's who we really want to end up with. And that's the person that is going to complement us. So two people complementing each other, and not necessarily exactly alike, but can grow together in the good times and in the bad times, in the uncomfortable times. And I've even heard people, I've heard guys say stuff to me, things like, well, I don't make a lot of money, so she's not going to be attracted to me. And I'm like, don't sell yourself short. It's not always about money. Now, there are people out there, and they may be narcissists, that only care about money and how you can and what you can buy for them. That's very selfish, because that's not going to last long term. And so if you had a lot of money, and then what if you lost the money? Would they leave you? that kind of thing. It's like, so a lot of us are out there living in the moment, and there's nothing wrong with living in the moment, but not leading people on and hurting people. And so, and don't wait on people either. I know, like my grandfather, going back to my grandfather saying that, I guess in a way he was saying to my grandmother, to wait for him. And, I'm kind of a romantic, so I was like, oh God, that's so romantic of the two of them. But had they met other people, that would have worked out better for them. I'm sure that's how it would have went. But they just lived their lives, and they didn't focus so much on getting married right then, and having the kids in the house and the all of that. They were taking care of themselves and what they needed to do when they needed to do it. And if at the end of all of that they were still in love with each other and still cared for each other, they both knew that's who they wanted to share the rest of their life with. And so it worked out for them, and they were married for, oh my gosh, like I want to say like over 75 years, something like that. And so that's a beautiful story, and it doesn't always work out that way for everybody. But if we hold the boundaries, if we're realistic, and we also learn about ourselves, because we can get so focused on why other people do things, and kind of get caught up in that rabbit hole that we don't really pay attention to what's really going on with us and why we feel certain ways, and stop blaming other people for the way we feel and taking more control of our lives and our own happiness, then we can get stuck in these toxic relationships that go round and round and round, and waste years and years and years. And when it's really not a waste, I guess it could be if you continue to repeat the same cycle time and time again. But if you learn from it and you can move forward and grow from it, then there's that lesson. And a lot of times our soulmates come in, and that's what they're supposed to do with us. And they help us grow so that we can end up being with the right person when the time is right. Anyway, I hope that helps. I am I'm single, so I'm maybe dipping my toe in a little bit, dating and thinking about it, but and I don't have all the answers. But what I do know is I've had a lot of life lessons, and hopefully I've been learning from them, and I'm still learning. I'm definitely still learning. And so until next time, this is Jennifer, and I hope to see you again. Please like, share, and subscribe, and know your worth. You have more power in your life than you believe. Don't hand it all over to somebody. You're not a doormat. Bye.